Hey guys, welcome to 3 Mississippi. Sid here, thanks for clicking on the video. As you can see behind us, Mike is tilling some new rows for a new spot for the garden. We're gonna tell you what happened, why, and why now this is gonna be the spot, at least temporarily, for the garden.
Sometimes love is a river running strong, moving like a wave through a rocky riverbed. Sometimes love is a dancer in the dark, spinning, laughing, twirling through the back door of your heart. And every time I think of you, well, something happens in my mind. And every time I try to leave, you're keeping me occupied. I'm losing track of time. Track of time. Sometimes love is a thought we held too long. Sometimes it's alright just to be a little wrong, with no sense of consequence, the strength to carry on. The day breaks in the darkest places right before the dawn. So if you ever lie awake with situations in your mind, and you try to sleep it off, but night keeps on passing by, you're losing track of time. You're losing track of time. Sometimes love is a reason to hold on, blowing like a hurricane right inside of me and you. No blues or avenues can take away my stride.
All right, so for those of you guys who have seen what we've done down here with the garden, we started our strawberries down here, we planted some onions and some potatoes, and we put this big tarp out here to kill the grass because we were planning on starting a much larger garden plot out here. Then disaster happened, and we have to completely abandon this garden plot. When I was trying to figure out where to put a garden on our property, I was thinking about a lot of things. One, I wanted it to be relatively flat. I wanted to catch a little bit of watershed so that I didn't have to water it as much. And I wanted to get as much morning sun as possible. All day sun will be great, but at least the morning sun. So this spot that we picked down here is, it meets all of that criteria. It's flat. We've got a hillside that runs down to it. We get some watershed down here. It gets all the morning sun, and then the closer you get to this tree line here, you might get a little bit of afternoon sun, which actually could be good. We put some of our brassicas and things closer to that tree line to get some afternoon shade. I really thought that this was the best place to put the garden. What I didn't realize was that Mother Nature had put something else here first. So when we moved here at the very end of probably the driest summer that our neighbors say we've had here in a decade. Everything was dry. The creek was almost empty, had a trickle. The pond was super low. The pastures were dry. This area down here where we're standing right now was very dry. It's not. So guys, once we got out of our little drought down here and we started having normal amounts of rainfall, and you know, and the clock reset on the area here, I started realizing it's super swampy down here where we're going to put the garden. It's always swampy. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to let it dry out for a week before I go down there and till. And we'd have no rain for 5 days. I'd come down here and it's swampy. We have had no rain right now for 5 days. And this is what we have where we want to plant our garden. So here's what I thought. I thought, well, my calculation of having a little bit of watershed coming down this hill was off. And we're getting too much watershed coming down this hill. And maybe it's, you know, holding it here. So I got out here with a tractor and I tried to dig a trench, okay, to relieve some of this water out of here. And then I had Frankie come out here, and because she needed a little practice on the tractor so that she could be the best tractor operator in Mississippi. And I had her come through and dig this swale all the way around the garden, all the way up there, and just kind of pull the dirt back so that as the water sheds down that hill, it will route around the garden. It was a good idea, okay? Then I came down here one day after she had done this, and I realized there's water coming out of the side of the hill. You got to see this. So guys, there is an actual trickle of water just coming right out of the hillside here. And this is I don't know if it's actually what I would consider to be a spring, but in reality, what a spring is, that's what this is. So, you know, as the hillside sponges up water, and like I said, we've had no rain in 5 days right now, but that water kind of collected down into the hillside and hit a spot somewhere down there where there's, I don't know, a limestone bottom or something, and it just couldn't soak any further. And it followed that until it's just leaking out right here. And as it leaks out, it's leaking down the hill and completely flooding the bottom where we want to put our garden. This is clearly not a good spot for a garden, guys. This is a spot for a swamp. I'll tell you, you know, it's not a complete loss. I've got these 3 little 40-foot rows that I built, and I planted strawberries in one, I planted onions in one, and I planted potatoes in this one. And, you know, they are slightly uphill from where that spring water is running to. So I believe that these are going to be okay. I'm going to leave them here. There's no reason not to. What I'm not going to do is run irrigation down here now. I think we're going to have to cross our fingers and hope that Mother Nature provides what these need as far as moisture. I probably will put some T-posts in and run just a little bit of like chicken wire around it to keep the rabbits out. I think it's narrow enough that we may not have deer jump into it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to put in a little bit of effort to keep these because they're here and they very well might make it. But the major garden plot has to be abandoned. We just absolutely cannot do it here. So let's go take a look at where we are going to put the garden. So for all of you guys that were telling me, put the garden closer to the house, you got what you want. This spot right here is not flat. I could have put in some effort to you know, get a dozer out here and flatten it, but I'm crossing my fingers that it's flat enough. And it's close to the house, and it gets the morning sun. Actually, it gets all day sun. So I actually came out here. Frankie came out and tilled it all first, and then I came out with the row builder. If you guys have not seen the row builder, you need to check that video out. It's amazing. Our neighbor actually manufactured this thing for me to attach to my tiller, and after she tilled this deep, I put the row builder on the tiller and formed up these rows. So I've actually built 10 100-foot rows, and this is going to be the market garden. So guys, this is not very good soil, unfortunately. I sent in some soil tests, and I'm at a pH of about 5.2. Nitrogen is low, phosphorus is low, everything is low, but this is where the garden needs to be. So I'm going to have to amend all of these beds, and I'm really racing the clock. I should have had my garden planted several weeks ago, and I still don't have it planted because of all the problems we had with the garden spot. So now that I have this spot broken up and busted out into rows, what I'm gonna have to do is actually amend these rows as I plant. So I'm gonna come through with some garden lime to adjust the pH up. I'm gonna add some nitrogen fertilizer, some phosphorus. I'm really gonna kind of wing it, but know that I am gonna do my best. Now, I need to get tomatoes and peppers in the ground within days. My tomato plants have completely outgrown their little 2-inch pots. I started these from seed, and they are now plants like this. In fact, if you watched Simple Life Reclaim or Country Road Cure within the last few days, we sent some tomato plants and some pepper plants up there with David from Come On Homestead, and they both, Mel and Country Road Cure, have planted their tomato plants, and you can see they were big old plants like this. Now, I was watching Mel's video yesterday, and she has, you know, a much smaller garden than this, but I like the design, and she's killing it. She's got cinder block raised beds out there, and I was ecstatic to see our tomato plants going into her garden. So yeah, Roxanne and Anthony actually planted some of the same tomato plants that I started from seed, and they look great. I could give them some advice. I will give them some advice, and I look forward to actually checking their gardens out in the next few weeks. We're gonna be going up there after the meetup in 10 Killer, and we're gonna be going to Come On Mountain and to the 41.36, you guys. So that's gonna be awesome. I'm excited to know that plants that I started from seed right here at 3 Mississippi are gonna be making tomatoes for people up there in Arkansas. I'm gonna start with the back row. You know, you want to plant, you know, shortest to tallest, or I do, when you're talking about in the direction of the morning sun. So that way, when your morning sun is coming in, you don't have something tall that's shading something short, right? So I'm gonna start with my tomatoes in the back, and I came out here this morning and I measured out and put some flags in every 25 feet. That's where I'm gonna drive T-posts in, and then I'm gonna run lines between them to stake my tomatoes up. So within the next week, I plan on planting 3 100-foot rows of tomatoes. And then on the other side of those, I'm going to put my my peppers, and then moving on up the hill with my squash and my okra and my zucchini, and then all the way up at the front, my low growing things like radishes and lettuce and stuff like that. It may be too late now for me to grow lettuce, but I'm still gonna try. It's a short crop. I think we can get at least one harvest in before it gets scorching hot. We'll see. The really important thing is that next year, for next year's garden, a lot of this work that I've done, I will not have to do now. And it really is gonna take probably 2 or 3 years to build this soil up, adding organic material, top dressing, and get the soil that I really want to have out here. But we're gonna have a garden this year. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We're really looking forward to what this garden is going to produce this year. We're going to be sharing it with you as we go every step of the way. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and click that bell down there so that you get notifications when we post more videos about our awesome new garden at 3 Mississippi. Love you guys. Have a great day.
So Mike got about half of his tomato plants in last night before the rain hit. It's raining right now, but just really lightly. And he's got more sitting up there, ready to go in the ground. And hey Bonk, he's got to follow me everywhere I go. But yeah, there's the beginning of the garden.